This is Jeff Beckham. I'm here and back with my brothers of the Go Defenders. And today we're going to talk about something that's close and near and dear to my heart, politics. We just got our first black female mayor, and I think, congratulations to Mayor Lightfoot. But I think it's interesting that the narrative's been created that she's, the first black female mayor, but not the first black mayor. Mayor Harold Washington obviously was the first black mayor of Chicago. And Jane Byrne was the first female mayor. And it's an interesting fact. We got a Go Defender fact here. Did you know that if our nonpartisan election structure existed today and back then, Harold Washington probably wouldn't have been mayor. Harold Washington probably wouldn't have been named mayor of Chicago. Now, why is that? In 1983, after Mayor Harold Washington won the election, they got together, and Democratic committeemen in 1986 said, we have to figure out how to change this. Harold Washington won with 36% of the vote when he beat Daley and Byrne in the first race. When he got to the general election, he ran against a Republican from Hyde Park named Bernard Epton, whose campaign slogan was, "Before it's too late." Harold Washington only won with 51% of the vote. And so the Democratic committeemen got together and tried to change the rules. David Orr actually said it was a blatant racist attack against blacks. And if you think about the structure, what would have happened was, if there was the current election structure, Harold would have got to run off against Jane Byrne, where those 49% of whites that voted for Bernard Epton would have voted for Byrne, and Harold would have lost. And so the books and the way Chicago's been structured politically has always kind of been changed or stacked against us, so that the power of black Chicago, the voting blocks of black Chicago, could be broken. So now we have our first black female mayor who also identifies as a lesbian. And I think that there's a mandate, there's something that we need to ask or hold her feet to the fire of. And I want to know, just as black men, like, if we all had a thing, right? What would be the thing you would ask Mayor Lightfoot to do? What would be the one thing, like, out the gate, we need this thing?
Wow.
Listen, first off, these potholes, Jesus, listen. That's first of all.
Hey.
But I'm serious, but I'm joking and serious at the same time. That's just ridiculous.
I just saw a meme about
But
that.
he said something. I saw one meme said they keep putting Oreo cookie dust in it. Anyway, that was hey man, that's just that tore me up, man. But anyway, business, economics. What is not just business, but economics? What is your economic plan for the people? Because I don't want to say us, because we all live here, right? And even though, we have we got to focus on us in a certain way, but that's our job. That's not her job.
Right.
So if we're talking about economics, what type of opportunities are you going to lay on the table? That's all I ask. I don't need you to give me shit. I don't, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And that's how most of us deal. You know what I'm saying? That's how most cats in the hood deal. Regardless of who's in office, I'm gonna deal. But what type of opportunities are you gonna lay in front of us?
No, right? So she campaigned on this premise that she's the progressive.
That's right.
Right. And that she's the change, and she's, not really a politician of the machine. And so to me, I think the ill thing about that is just like, I compare it to music. It's like an independent artist saying, I'm going to stay the same once I sign to Atlantic. I'm going to be the same once I sign to Jive. I'm going to be the same once I sign to
because you ain't got
Because
that
you're
deal
not.
yet.
You're not. You're not going to be the same. Because you know what happens is now you have to answer to a board.
Right.
Now you have to answer to the people. Now you have to answer to the millionaires and the billionaires that control Cook
Got you
County.
elected.
And really, you're going to have to still answer to Toni Preckwinkle. Because she's still important.
What is her... For someone
she's
who's
the president of the
kind of a
Cook
novice,
County,
what does she do?
She not only is she's the president of the Cook County Board, but she's also the president of the Democratic Party
And the committeeman of the
here.
So what does that mean?
So what that means is
She can
Chicago
still
is in
leverage
the
her power.
Chicago is part of Cook County, right?
Right.
So the big purse strings of the county still run through Tony. The
The
floor is
So
preserved.
she's really the mayor anyway? Get the fuck out of here.
Which is why the next day at
nuts.
Which is why the next day at Operation Push, no matter what was going to happen, they had that meeting where they felt like they had to work together.
Brother,
That's why it was like next day.
Oh, are y'all serious?
Yeah, so I'm in the barbershop. I was in the barbershop. They're like, look, Tony shouldn't even have ran because Cook County Board Commissioner is like a way better position than Mayor of Chicago.
And fuck everything.
And she's still dealing with, like, literally, it's J.B. Pritzker and Tony Preckwinkle. Wow. And, like, everything is still going to run through her. Yeah. Like, if it's Cook County, it's still running Chicago.
So did you ever watch Boss?
Yeah.
I watched that.
Kelsey Grammer on Stars.
Yeah. It was such a shame that they cut it off. And they probably cut it off because they was giving up too much game.
It's like that show Play.
They might have been giving up too much game. So, do you think they met? Do you think they got together?
I don't know.
On some like I love this part of fucking politics. How
the back room.
I love that. Oh man, I love those kind of shows and stuff.
I don't know what you think, Jeff, but like it was so. My homeboy, literally, I'm gonna go back to this barbershop conversation. They were like, "Look, this is what Tony Preckwinkle and Lori Lightfoot are. If you want to put it in a metaphorical sense, it's like if you walk past the store on Michigan Avenue, you see a pair of shoes, you say, I like those shoes, I want to go get them. You show up next week, and your homegirl got them on.
Oh, shit.
That's what that was. Lori Lightfoot was the first person to enter her name into the mayoral election, right? Before Rahm said he wasn't running. And so what Tony did is say, you know what, I'm going to buy those shoes.
Right.
I'm going to buy those shoes. I'm going to run.
Oh, that's nice.
And she didn't decide she wanted to run until her friends said they were friends.
Oh, they're friends.
Yeah, well, let me kind of. So
y'all are just blowing my mind right now.
Tony has been, of course, like a long-stemming political leader here in Chicago, and largely known as public sector, right? Like largely known as the progressive force in the city council and in the city of Chicago. Like that has been her voice. She has been the one that's spoken up and said that's not right, or we need to look out for the people in this regard. And what's interesting is, to your point, like Lori came and snatched that narrative right from Tony. Like it was like, no, I'm the progressive. But if you look at Lori's track record, it's been like
she's a prosecutor.
Back to Blue, prosecutor.
I'm a lawyer.
IPRA, Illinois Police Review.
The whole she's a cop narrative. Like a lot of the activists I talked to and reported.
Like, what are we talking about?
The other thing, like they were like, "Yo, she can't be."
That
thing I wanted to talk about that meme that went around. That meme that went around. Like if y'all don't know that, like that was. I was so when I saw that, it was so funny. It was so like Chicago, like South Side centric. It was a meme where somebody when I first saw it was
cropped her head on Jeff Ford.
Yeah, it was a photoshopped on a picture of Jeff Ford. You know, like there, people were calling her Mo Lady, Mo Bite, and everything else. It was like, yo, it was just funny how you had like that. She's a cop thing, and then you had like the other thing.
In a weird way, as somebody who's not so politically connected, if you will. I wanted to vote for her because of that meme. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I was like, you know what? She fits, man. She out here.
My friends know. I was passionate about it, right? And I've met Tony and Lori, and I think at the core of who they are, I think they're both good people. Let me say that first. Let me start there. I think they are, and I think that the political differences between the two of them, while Democratic, the party, the people wanted to make it like great. Honestly, I sat through numerous debates with both of them, and the differences were very slim. Yeah. It was like, will you fire Eddie Johnson? Yeah. Lori, no. Tony, yes. Will you fire Janice Jackson? Tony, no. Lori, yes. Yeah. what are you going to do with the 78? Both of them were like, look, that's pretty much done. Now, the 78 is the Lincoln Yards. I'm not the 78, the Lincoln Yards development, which is $2 billion in TIF money. The 78 is on State and on Cermak there. But Lincoln Yards,
Chinatown area.
Lincoln Yards was the one. Lincoln Yards was the one they asked about.
Let me clarify that. So there are 77 census districts in Chicago. The 78 is a project that's being proposed that would literally be the 78th.
So it'll be like a neighborhood. Yeah.
But that wasn't over there by Lakeshore.
Yes,
but that wasn't the one. So the one
talk about it, Lord.
If you ever remember back in the day when they did the Chicago Food Truck Festival, that was where the 78 is going to be.
It's going to be right
because it was like a football field.
It's Resco land. Yeah, that's Tony Resco land. That's the other core issue here is a $2 billion in tax increment finance TIF money, which is basically like a slush fund. I shouldn't call it that. It's a set aside of money of taxpayer money that goes towards at the mayoral's discretion. I'm keeping it real. Like it is money.
Go defender first. I'm voting for Jeff Beckham.
Hey, I'm just gonna call it what it is. It's a $2 billion pot of money that can go towards mayoral initiatives at the discretion of the mayor, voted on by City Hall. And so yesterday or Friday, they actually voted to approve the $2 billion TIF for Lincoln Yards, which is right. If you want to know what Lincoln Yards is, it's just north of North Avenue, right? Like it's the whole Goose Island area, right?
Oh yeah,
right behind where all the clubs were. Yeah. It's right over there where Boutique used to be, and
Goose Island
and Biology Bar.
North of Halsted.
North of Halsted.
That's gonna be another fucking place you can't park.
Yo, you killing me today. But that was the other difference, and both of them said that we should stop this development. That these developers are going to build it without the TIF, but both mayoral candidates again. So the other core difference was like social justice, right? Yeah. Lori has been called the Back the Blue candidate. I actually think that's unfair. The Back the Blue candidate was Gary McCarthy and Jerry Joyce. Those were Back the Blue candidates. I think Lori was unfairly demonized as that. I do think she has a higher concept of police presence, right? She wants to enhance the police force, grow them.
She's talked about that.
She's talked about
build the police academy.
She does.
She's saying she wants to use the unused school sites from when
to me, she just seemed like a real person. Like with all her background and all that, Tony seemed
a politician.
Oh, she's super machine. She's a machine.
I mean, come on, like that. Well, I mean, Machine City.
And Ed Burke
she just seemed like a real person who has a job and had to do the job, and that was her job, and now this is her job.
She's 72 years old. She's 72 years old.
Who's 72 years old?
Toni Preckwinkle is 72 years old. Come on. She's been... So, I'll give you some real, like, Chicago, like, history through me, right? So, Zeus Preckwinkle.
Right. Her husband. Her ex-husband.
Tiny?
My nigga Tiny?
No.
My nigga Tiny?
No.
Zeus Preckwinkle was my 7th and 8th grade teacher at Ancona School on 47th in Dorchester. I went to 7th and 8th grade with Kyle Preckwinkle. Because he was a good friend of mine. We played basketball together at the YMCA, and like I know their family. So the end of the day, what it was is I saw firsthand that this is politics. And that she was a school teacher, CPS school teacher. And she always ran Hyde Park. Hyde Park is known as the most progressive neighborhood in Chicago. Right. So it's like, how you going to run against somebody and say she's not progressive when she's run the most progressive district forever? And she still runs it, even though Sophia King has been there, Will Byrne has been there, Kwame Raoul has been there.
And check. Now, let me hip y'all to what committeemen do, because I think most people don't recognize that, like, you vote for these people and you have no idea. Whenever there's a vacancy in your ward or in your district, the committeemen actually have the weighted vote to select who they replace, the person that replaces. So we had 2 vacancies. Kwame Raoul is now our Attorney General of the state, and Christian Mitchell is now one of the deputy governors, and both of them have vacated their districts. And Tony was the committeeman in both of those over those wards to be able to select the replacements for both. Yeah. So like when we vote for these people, right? Like it really matters. When you vote for your judges, it really matters. Like
I got a question.
It really matters.
That really matters.
Is crazy though.
I got a question to the for real really matters.
Yeah.
It matters, right? But as you all have kind of allowed me to see, both of them are the same, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is by that is, okay, now we got a runoff, right? They talked. It was a conversation. Similar, based on what you say, Tony, is the way she's positioned, they could actually work
I think they will work well together.
And they work together. So now, if you have the two people that's about the people,
right,
that's the only way it works. But if you got two people that's against the mission, if you will, how is me voting for them better?
Let me put this out here. Let me put this. This came to my mind. I'm a rapper. I make analogies, right? OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder, NBA basketball. Kevin Durant is playing with James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
No, James Harden, Westbrook's nuts.
Right. So Tony Preckwinkle is Russell Westbrook. I run everything. It don't matter if it's my team. It ain't my team, but it's my fucking team.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
Kevin Durant is goddamn Lori Lightfoot.
She said, I gotta go. I gotta get off
And so they still friends. James Harden's probably JB Pritzker. You know what I'm saying?
He winning MVPs right now. That's
MVP.
Pritzker.
That's the MVP.
Right now.
I'm a billionaire. I make money. I'm good. Everything. I don't really even care about the game. I'm here.
I'm getting scored.
Anyway, right? It's like I'm here. I'm succeeding. Either way it goes, I'm succeeding. And so that's kind of how it goes. Like literally. So it's like Tony. She's gonna win either way. And so that's why people was like, yo, that's petty as hell. You jumped in this election when your friend hopped in it. And you only jumped in it when Rom got out of it.
But was it to make sure that she won?
When she pulled all of her TV, she knew she lost.
She knew she lost.
Because she had more funding. She had more funding. She had more funding than Lori Lightfoot, right? But she knew she was gonna lose. So she's like, okay, I got more funding. Let me pull on my TV ads.
Well, she didn't get the second pull of money from the unions. Yeah. But I have a question, and this
I don't know where that money
I'm going to phrase this as like politically correct as I can. Where are the young black males in Chicago politics who would have been viable mayoral candidates? And I don't want to
voted for the black
and let me
man.
not knock LaShawn Ford. Right,
that's who I voted for.
Like I did too. I mean, y'all know I love. Shout out to my man Kurt Summers, who is a wonderful black man, a leader. Shout out to the homie. But it can't just all be on Kurt, right? Like when we look at this election, man, we had numerous Dorothy Brown, Amara Enya, Tony, Lori, and we had LaShawn and Willie Wilson.
Yeah,
Willie Wilson was not even.
And Willie's not a young black male, so like Willie
can't talk.
And he gave people. I keep going back to this same conversation, but Willie Wilson threw his contingent to Lori Lightfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And what people
win.
As much, and this is some context. The reality of it is like, Willie Wilson in Chicago has all the black churches. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he has the bread. That collection plate go around. Willie Wilson is putting that bag on it.
And
so you can clown Willie Wilson as much as you want, but he's one of the lightweight. There are five rich black men in Chicago.
Right.
5.
Right. He can't be the mayor though.
And Willie Wilson is one of them.
He can handle
shit. You know what I'm saying? And when I say rich, I mean rich. What Meek Mill say? You rich.
But,
you can let your gas pump with the click.
He can make a bigger impact with his money not being the mayor.
Let me ask y'all something, man.
He also gave his little 20% to Lightfoot.
I want to talk about Willie, man. So like, here's the thing. Now, while I did not vote for Willie, I got to meet Mr. Wilson years ago, right? Like years ago, before he ever got into politics, when he has this gigantic, huge warehouse out in Richmond Park, because the man and I respect his story, went from like managing the McDonald's to owning the McDonald's to asking Ray Kroc like I need to own one to then he was like, oh, I need to be the supplier of the cups and the papers to McDonald's. And then he was like, if I can supply cups and papers to McDonald's, I can do this to hospitals.
Brother, he plays country dumb. And
he's freaking brilliant.
It's a trope that has existed in African American culture forever, right? So I love my father to death. My father is from Laurel, Mississippi.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Laurel, Mississippi has 1,500 fucking people, and my father is the smartest man I know. But he also knows when he's in certain situations, he can turn charm on.
That's right.
I'm from a city that only has 1,500 people, and I'm in Chicago, and I'm just a black man trying to make it. And that's what Willie Wilson did, right? Yeah. And so I went to Ancona with, shout out to my good friend, Blanton Kennedy. BT, his father, Blanton Sr., maybe the second or the third black McDonald's owner-operator here in Chicago. Yep. He has the McDonald's at Navy Pier.
Right.
He has the McDonald's in the Southwest Terminal.
That's a black man that owns the Navy.
First black.
You said Southwest?
Southwest Terminal, O'Hare Airport. O'Hare Airport, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong.
We selling $10 Big Macs. And so my thing is, his father is Willie Wilson's mentor.
Right.
So I'm like, when they paint these narratives in the Sun-Times or the Tribune as if Willie Wilson is not competent, as if Willie Wilson doesn't know how to run a business. So my thing is like, he can run a city. He can run a city. However, the tenor of what Chicago isn't meant for who Willie Wilson is. But he can run Detroit. He can run Memphis. He can run Nashville.
Being the mayor and being subjected to what comes with being mayor.
Especially in Chicago. And
you feel me? Exactly.
I think your point is relevant.
It's going to get tainted.
But I also want to say, like, while we talk about this narrative around Willie and his speech, like, it took Matt McGill to check me back. Shout out to Matt, back on WVON. That's my guy. I got to give him love. He checked me. One day I was co-hosting, and he was like, Jeff, Willie is our great uncles. Willie is our grandfathers. Willie is everybody's person that hustled with the 4th, the 7th, 8th, 9th grade education that came up and made it to this city, up that Illinois Central Railroad that we talked about.
Great migration.
That's why he can't be mayor.
But it's why he can't be mayor.
That's why he can't be mayor.
So the reality of it is, right, he could be a great alderman, right? He could do awesome he could literally be the alderman,
right?
But he, as like a winner in business, is like, the win for me is I live in Chicago. I need to be mayor of Chicago, which is
what people don't understand is, like, I always tell people, like, voting is personal. And our family member actually voted for Willie and basically laid it down how you said it. Like, they was like, I see your grandfather in him. I see a self-made man who has his own money, who constantly tells white people to kiss his ass. And in Chicago, and in the hood, you can get that. You're good. You're good for that. You're Gucci forever. Like, if you have that loyalty place.
And so if you want to vote for somebody that looks like you and acts like you, Willie Wilson was your candidate. Because for real, like, he's a real dude. He's an organic millionaire.
But you can't be that spook by the door that we need, because he's obviously one of us.
Well, I just don't like.
I like your assessment.
I just don't like how they like to clown him.
He can do way more work.
Not only do
not being mayor than being mayor.
So I ain't gonna lie. Full disclosure. So I was invited to a party at Willie Wilson's condo.
Yeah.
On some, like, this is his mayoral, like, pitch to certain influencers in Chicago. And I didn't go, but I was like, yo, like, the reality of this shit is, like, he is the guy I would drink with. I used to tell people this. When we were like, yo, I'm voting for Obama.
George W. Bush.
I'm voting for George W. I was like, yo, there's a guy you would drink with, there's a guy you would vote for. Yep. Right? And so Willie Wilson is a guy I would drink with. He's not a guy I would vote for.
I'd buy him dinner.
However, I would not just drink with, but like I take him.
Yeah,
I'd be his driver for a day. But the reality of it is like, yo, like, fam, know he gonna lose every time.
Right.
But he just enters the race to shake stuff up.
But guess what he got in this race?
You know what
in this race.
And he got 18%.
He got 18%.
18%.
That was the hard percentage. And that's why the next day, both of them were Lightfoot and Preckwinkle was like hollering at him for support.
He handed 20% to Lord.
He got all awards. He got all the black awards on the South Side.
But if you put him as an alderman, he's a 90% winner.
And he wins every year for 15 years.
I wish he was my alderman.
He wins every year for the next, as long as he wants to.
But I don't like that narrative that he has no power, because
he does.
The reality of it is backdoor. They're gonna have these conversations.
They already did.
You know, and so I just hate that. I don't know if y'all have like noticed it, but he's painted as like this, like stepping fetching.
That's why I said that tweet about that.
You can't be a competent $100 and be a stepping.
That's why I said
that.
That's why I put that tweet about that, because he's someone that people like, oh, he sounds like this and sounds like that. Right. And you start to think like this dude's an idiot, but he just when you layer into it, right? You put into it, you do the knowledge. You're like, yo, this dude is smart.
We can't subject him to that,
right? And we have to
fair.
You can't be an idiot and be a millionaire. I'm sorry.
Right.
And if we were, to be honest, if the black community in Chicago, if we cultivated ourselves in a space where we were able to actually look at the facts, he might have won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's closest to Harold as we've ever got.
And he definitely would have won.
Dog, if he was an eloquent speaker, he could have won.
I don't even think that matters
would
much.
Harold have won if he was in this era? Because, Harold...
That's a good question.
My good friend Jewel Mitchell, he was like, yo, Harold Washington ate Robinson ribs 3 days a week.
That's why you can't say that
he's
they killed him.
People, and we made him like our guy.
Yeah,
he was up here, and so I just feel like we need to understand what the tenor of our city is. Yeah. So if somebody's gonna run our city,
is Willie Wilson Harold Washington 2019?
I don't know what 2019. He might have the new milestone. He might be a lighthouse.
I still think
the only reason I asked that is because you said that would Harold Washington win today?
My thing is,
I think he could. Social media, I think, would
with the same premise though, and same.
I think it would be different. I think that just given, I say this because I compare everything to music, right? Yeah. And so I tell people right now, I be like, people. I go to panels. They're like, how do I make it music? I say, yo, I didn't have Twitter. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have all that shit. I had MySpace.
Right.
And I made the most out of MySpace. I was on the front page of MySpace, right? And when I was on the front page of MySpace, I got contacted by 8 labels. And so I say, yo, if you give me Twitter, Instagram, and all this other bullshit y'all got, I'm light years past y'all, and I'm not signing the deal. So I would have had like 1 million followers by now, and that's just what it would have been. But the reality of it is,
a little different now.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
cloud.
So
heavy.
I was on the front. Literally, the front page of MySpace, I got 1 million plays on 3 songs. And after that, every label hit me up, right? So what does that mean? Twitter, Instagram, all this shit, we're in a different convergence space.
But you're also you're like a pioneer to that space, though.
You know, when you move into these spaces and you become successful,
right?
Like, you have to start to think about how you're going to translate your message. It becomes bigger than you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like in a real way. Like, and I had that happen for me, but I see with what we're even talking about right now is like now we're getting to the space where we're getting older, and politics is, I can touch politics.
That's right.
You start realizing who you know. You start realizing how that connects. You start realizing that there's cheat codes to this whole thing that's called politics, right? And it's all narrative.
Yeah.
It's all how you get painted. And I'm like, yo, like in reality, if you sat down with Willie Wilson, you'd be like, yo, you can run my city.
That's right. And I think,
but the news won't tell you that. So if you're not at that party or at that bar or at that thing, you wouldn't know. Jeff Beckham might run our city.
Exactly. And I think that's a great place for us to wrap. I think, answer that question for us. What is the one thing you want our new mayor to do? Answer that question for us. Also, hit us in the DMs, hit us in the comment section, like our page, subscribe to this podcast. Let us know, what is the one thing you want the mayor to do? What are you going to ask her to do? And yourself, like what is your vision for the best Chicago? Because that's what we all want. All of us, the Go Defenders, we're here together to build the best Chicago. What does that look like?
We defend Chicago. We love Chicago.
The Go Defenders podcast. We out.